The great throne room of the hegemony of suns had never seen such panic. War Empress Talvis stood before the massive holographic display that showed the military situation across the galaxy. Red warning markers covered the map, indicating destroyed fleets, fallen bases, and conquered territories. Most of those markers bore a single terrifying symbol, the emblem of humanity. In 3 months, one human warship has brought 3 major empires to their knees, reported General Vexhall, his voice shaking with barely controlled fear. The Zalari Dominion has lost 70% of their entire fleet. The Krillian Empire has abandoned their border worlds. The Nexar Federation is begging for peace terms. War Empress Talvis was the oldest living military commander in the known galaxy. Her species had ruled the hegemony for over 10,000 years, building the largest empire in space through superior strategy and overwhelming force. She had never known defeat in her long life. "Show me the tactical analysis of their attacks," she commanded. The holographic display changed to show recordings from the recent battles. Each engagement followed the same terrifying pattern. Alien fleets would attack the human ship with overwhelming numbers, only to be systematically destroyed without causing any damage to their enemy. "Their technology is beyond our understanding," said Chief Science Advisor Mordek. "They use weapons that unmake matter at the atomic level. Their shields absorb our energy and convert it to power their own systems. Most disturbing of all, their ship seems to predict our battle tactics before we implement them." War Empress Talvis studied the recordings with the eye of a veteran strategist. What she saw made her blood run cold. This was not random destruction or simple revenge. The human ship was conducting a carefully planned campaign, designed to cripple the galaxy's military power while sending a clear message about humanity's capabilities. They are not just fighting, she realized. They are teaching. Every battle, every target, every tactical choice is designed to show the galaxy that resistance is futile. "Your Empress," said Admiral Hextar from his position near the throne. "The hegemony commands over 3,000 warships. Surely our combined might can destroy this single human vessel." The War Empress looked at him with ancient eyes. "You still do not understand what we are facing. This is not about numbers anymore. The humans have technology that makes our greatest achievements look primitive." She activated the communication systems that connected her to every corner of the hegemony. Her image appeared on screens throughout hundreds of star systems, reaching billions of citizens and thousands of military commanders. "Citizens of the hegemony," she began, her voice carrying the authority of 10 millennia of rule. "A new threat has emerged from the small species we once dismissed as harmless. The humans possess a single warship that has already destroyed the combined fleets of 3 empires. I am issuing an ultimatum to Earth. Surrender this vessel and submit to galactic oversight, or face the full might of every spacefaring civilization united against you." The response from Earth came within hours, broadcast across every communication network in known space. Captain Choi Minho appeared on screens throughout the galaxy, his face calm and determined. "War Empress Talvis and leaders of the galaxy," he said quietly. "You had your chance for peace when you ignored our colonies being slaughtered by the Zalari. You could have shown justice when 3 million innocent humans were murdered without cause. Instead, you chose to see us as weak and unworthy of consideration. Now you will learn why humanity does not forgive such crimes and why we never forget." The transmission ended, but its message was clear. The humans would not surrender. War Empress Talvis immediately activated the ancient emergency protocols that had not been used for over 1,000 years. Every spacefaring species in the galaxy received the same message: unite against the human threat or face destruction individually. The response was immediate and massive. Within days, the largest armada in galactic history began assembling at the edge of hegemony space. Over 3,000 warships from dozens of different civilizations, representing every major military power in the known galaxy. But the human ship did not wait for this massive fleet to reach Earth. Instead, it began a new type of campaign that filled the galaxy with terror. The retribution struck at the heart of each empire's territory. Captain Yoon Sang-wook, now serving as Strategic Operations Commander, coordinated precision attacks against key military installations, orbital shipyards, and command centers. The pattern became clear to military analysts across the galaxy. The human warship was not just fighting a war, it was conducting a campaign of total strategic destruction. Every target was chosen to maximize psychological impact while crippling military capabilities. Navigator Kim Hye-jin plotted courses that seemed to defy the laws of space travel. The retribution appeared in multiple star systems simultaneously, striking at targets thousands of light-years apart within the same day. Scientists began to whisper that the humans had mastered instantaneous travel between any points in space. On SciFiPrime, the species' homeworld, orbital defense platforms that had protected the planet for 1,000 years were destroyed in minutes. The human ship appeared without warning, eliminated the defenses with surgical precision, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The Krillian industrial complex at Sigma Draconis, which produced weapons for half the galaxy, became a cloud of expanding debris. The retribution materialized in the middle of the heavily defended system, destroyed every factory and shipyard, then disappeared before the system's massive defense fleet could engage. Communication networks throughout civilized space went dark as the human ship systematically eliminated relay stations and data centers. Trade routes collapsed as merchant fleets refused to travel without naval protection that no longer existed. But the most terrifying aspect was not the ship's weapons or impossible speed. It was the cold, calculated precision of its campaign. Every strike served multiple purposes, creating cascading failures in enemy logistics and morale. The galaxy began to understand they were not fighting just a warship. They were facing the full strategic thinking capability of humanity. War Empress Talvis watched her empire's defenses crumble from her command center on the hegemony capital world. Her military advisors brought her reports of destruction from across their territory. Shipyards gone, command bases eliminated, elite fleets destroyed before they could even fight back. How are they doing this? She demanded. Our best scientists say instantaneous travel is impossible. Our tactical computers cannot predict their movement patterns. Chief Science Advisor Mordek looked up from his displays with exhausted eyes. Your Empress, I believe the humans have been preparing for this campaign for much longer than we realized. Every attack shows detailed knowledge of our military systems, our defensive capabilities, our strategic weaknesses. They have been studying us for decades, perhaps centuries. The truth was even more disturbing. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy showed that human agents had been quietly observing alien military operations for generations. Every tactical manual, every weapon specification, every defensive protocol had been carefully analyzed and cataloged. Communication Officer Lee So-young coordinated the Retribution's information warfare alongside its physical attacks. Human computer viruses infected alien military networks, causing weapon systems to malfunction and navigation computers to fail. Supply convoys found themselves lost in empty space while their automated systems led them in circles. The psychological impact was devastating. Alien crews began to refuse combat assignments, knowing that facing the human ship meant certain death. Military commanders resigned their positions rather than lead their people into hopeless battles. Some entire fleets simply surrendered without fighting when the Retribution appeared in their systems. 6 months after the campaign began, the great empires of the galaxy were in ruins. The hegemony's 3,000-ship armada had been scattered and destroyed before it could even reach human space. Dozens of smaller civilizations had either surrendered unconditionally or simply stopped responding to communications. War Empress Talvis sat alone in her throne room, staring at displays that showed the collapse of galactic civilization. Her 10,000-year-old empire was finished. Her people were refugees in their own space. The natural order that had ruled the galaxy for millennia had been shattered by a single human warship. A communication request came from the Retribution. Captain Choi appeared on her screen, his face showing no emotion. War Empress, he said simply, your empire is defeated. Your fleets are destroyed. Your people are ready for peace. Will you surrender, or shall we continue this demonstration? Talvis looked at the human captain and saw something that chilled her ancient heart. This was not the face of a conqueror drunk on victory. This was the expression of someone carrying out a necessary but unpleasant task with professional competence. What are your terms? She asked quietly. Complete disarmament of all military forces beyond basic system defense, Captain Choi replied. All aggressive species to be placed under human oversight. War crimes tribunals for those responsible for civilian massacres. And most importantly, recognition that humanity is no longer content to be ignored or threatened. 6 months after the great empires surrendered, the TDF Retribution returned to Earth. Captain Choi Min-ho stood on the observation deck with Admiral Park Hyun-woo, watching small alien ships arrive at Earth's orbital stations. These were not warships coming to attack. They were diplomatic vessels carrying ambassadors who came to negotiate the terms of the new galactic order. "Did we go too far?" asked Communication Officer Lee So-young, as she reviewed the casualty reports on her datapad. The numbers were staggering. Billions of alien military personnel dead, hundreds of worlds under human control, an entire galactic civilization restructured around humanity's demands. Admiral Park looked out at the alien ships and considered her question carefully. "They called us primitive animals. They murdered our colonies for entertainment. They believed that might alone determined who had the right to exist. We simply proved them correct about that philosophy, and showed them who truly possessed the might." The galaxy that emerged from humanity's campaign was fundamentally different from what had existed before. Trade now flowed through human-controlled systems, with Earth's approval required for any major commercial activity. Scientific research could not proceed without human oversight, ensuring that no species could develop weapons capable of threatening others. Military buildup beyond basic system defense was forbidden throughout civilized space. But perhaps most significantly, the truth about human nature spread throughout the galaxy. The occupied worlds discovered that humans were not the ruthless conquerors their former rulers had expected. The new administrators were firm but fair. Former slaves were freed from bondage. Oppressive regimes that had ruled for millennia were dismantled and replaced with more just governments. Captain Choi received his new assignment from Fleet Admiral Kim Tae-ho in a secure briefing room deep within Earth's primary command station. The old admiral looked tired but satisfied as he explained humanity's next phase of operations. "The Retribution will no longer operate alone," Admiral Kim said. 12 sister ships have been completed in our hidden shipyards around Saturn and Jupiter. Each one incorporates improvements based on combat data from your campaign. The holographic displays showed the new vessels, dreadnoughts even more advanced than the Retribution. Captain Choi studied their specifications with professional interest. Larger quantum disruptor arrays, more sophisticated AI systems, improved gravity manipulation drives. Each ship was capable of single-handedly maintaining order in an entire sector of space. "What are our orders, sir?" asked Captain Choi. "Patrol and protection," replied Admiral Kim. "The galaxy now knows peace for the first time in recorded history. No empire is strong enough to threaten others. No species dares to commit genocide or enslave their neighbors. Your job is to ensure it stays that way." Chief Science Officer Seo Min-jun completed his final analysis of the campaign in his laboratory aboard the Retribution. His report would become required reading at every military academy in human space. The conclusion was clear. The ship had never been just a weapon of war. It was a demonstration of humanity's strategic patience and moral clarity. "For 200 years we could have revealed our technology and conquered the galaxy," he wrote. "Instead we waited, watched, and learned. We allowed ourselves to be underestimated while we developed not just superior weapons, but the wisdom to use them responsibly." The alien species slowly adapted to their new reality. On worlds that had known only war for centuries, children grew up without the sound of combat in the skies above. Trade flourished as human patrol fleets eliminated pirates and raiders. Scientific advancement accelerated as species began sharing knowledge instead of hoarding military secrets. Navigator Park Ji-won, now promoted to executive officer aboard the Retribution, monitored these changes from the ship's strategic planning center. Her displays showed peaceful merchant convoys traveling routes that had been war zones just months before. Former enemies worked together on research projects under human supervision. "It's remarkable," she reported to Captain Choi during their daily briefing. "Crime rates are down 90% in systems under our protection. Trade volume has increased by 500%. Most importantly, there have been 0 military conflicts between species since the campaign ended. But the human fleet remained vigilant." Captain Jang Hee-jin, daughter of the original tactical officer Park Ji-won, now commanded the newest dreadnought in the fleet. Her ship, the TDF Justice, patrolled the former Zalari territories where resentment against human rule still simmered among some populations. "Contact on long-range sensors," reported her tactical officer during a routine patrol. Unknown vessel refusing to respond to identification requests. Captain Zhang studied the sensor readings. The ship was small but showed unusual energy signatures, possibly experimental weapons being tested in violation of the disarmament treaties. Battle stations, she ordered calmly. Prepare to intercept. The engagement lasted less than 30 seconds. The alien vessel, revealed to be a prototype warship built by Zolari resistance fighters, was disabled by a single precise shot from the Justice's secondary weapons. Its crew was captured alive and transported to the nearest human facility for questioning. Message transmitted to all monitoring stations in the sector, reported the communications officer. Any species attempting to violate disarmament agreements will face immediate response from human forces. 50 years after the original campaign, Captain Zhang stood in the memorial hall aboard the Retribution, now the flagship of the Human Colonial Defense Force. The names of New Busan's 3 million victims were still displayed on the walls, a reminder that humanity's mercy had limits and that some lessons should never need to be taught twice. Her crew was no longer entirely human. Alien officers who had proven their loyalty and competence served alongside humans, representing the best of a galaxy that had learned to work together instead of constantly fighting each other. Status report from all patrol sectors, she requested during the morning briefing. All quiet. Captain, replied Commander Velkan, a former Zolari officer who had joined the human fleet after witnessing the justice of their rule. No military conflicts reported anywhere in monitored space. 3 diplomatic disputes resolved through negotiation rather than force. The bridge crew, humans, Zolari, Krillians, and others working in perfect coordination, represented everything the galaxy had gained from humanity's victory. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years now served together in the cause of maintaining peace. But in quiet moments, Captain Zhang sometimes wondered what would have happened if the galaxy had chosen differently. If the alien empires had responded to New Busan's destruction with justice instead of dismissal. If they had treated humanity as equals instead of primitive animals. The galaxy made its choice, Admiral Park had told her during her promotion ceremony. They believed that strength gave them the right to destroy the weak. We proved them correct about that philosophy. We were simply stronger than they realized. Young alien cadets now studied at Earth's military academies, learning human tactics and philosophy alongside advanced technology. They learned that true strength came not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to know when destruction was necessary and the restraint to stop when justice had been served. The Retribution continued its eternal patrol, a symbol of humanity's promise to protect the innocent and punish those who would return to the old ways of conquest and genocide. Its quantum disruptors remained ready, its AI systems vigilant, its crew prepared to act if anyone forgot the lessons written in the ashes of the old galactic order. The galaxy had peace because humanity enforced it. The strong protected the weak because humans had redefined what strength truly meant. And in the depths of space, the descendants of New Busan's 3 million victims rested easier, knowing that their deaths had not been in vain. They had awakened a sleeping giant. The galaxy would never make that mistake again. The age of humanity would endure as long as the stars themselves burned in the darkness of space. And somewhere in that darkness, human ships would always be watching, ensuring that the peace they had fought to create would never again be broken by those who mistook mercy for weakness. The lesson was complete. The galaxy had learned. Humanity stood guard to ensure it would never be forgotten. Captain Lee Dabin stood on the bridge of her small ship and looked at the stars. The horizon's edge was not a warship. It was just a survey vessel that checked on human colonies and mapped new areas of space. Dabin had been doing this job for 15 years. She liked the quiet work and the peaceful visits to the colonies. Today she was near New Busan Colony. Her sister Minna lived there with her husband and 2 children. Dabin always enjoyed these visits because she could see her family. The colony had 3 million people who had built a good life on the blue and green planet. "Captain, something strange is happening," said Kim Hee-jin from her position at the navigation controls. Big ships just appeared near the planet. They came out of hyperspace very fast. Dabin looked at the main screen. She could see New Busan's planet, but now there were 30 huge ships floating above it. These ships were much bigger than any human vessel she had ever seen. They were dark and shaped like giant knives. "Those are not our ships, said Communications Officer Lee So-young. Her voice was worried. "I can hear the colonists trying to talk to them, but the alien ships are not answering." Dobbin felt cold fear in her stomach. No ships were supposed to come to New Busan today. The supply runs were not due for another month. These alien vessels had no reason to be here unless they wanted to cause trouble. "Put the colony's communications on speaker," Dobbin ordered. The bridge filled with voices from New Busan. Colony officials were asking the alien ships to identify themselves. They were offering to provide supplies or assistance. They were trying to follow all the proper diplomatic procedures that humans used when meeting new alien species. Then came the alien reply. The voice was cold and mechanical, speaking perfect human language. "This is Fleet Commander Velthera of the Zalari Dominion. You humans have spread your infection to worlds that belong to superior races. Your presence here ends now." Dobbin grabbed the communication controls so fast she almost broke them. "New Busan Control, this is Captain Dobbin of the Horizon's Edge. You need to get everyone to the emergency shelters right now. Do it immediately." Her sister Minna's voice came through the static. She worked at the colony's main communication center. "Dobbin, what is happening? These ships will not talk to us properly. They are just hanging there in space. Minna, please listen to me. Take the children and get underground. Get everyone underground. Move now, but why? What do you know that we don't?" Dobbin wanted to explain, but there was no time. The alien ships were already moving into attack formation. "Just trust me, please." The alien fleet opened fire without any more warnings. Dobbin watched the screen in horror. Bright energy beams shot down from the 30 ships. They hit the protective domes that covered New Busan cities. The domes were supposed to protect the colonists from the planet's harsh weather. They were strong and had never failed before. The alien weapons went through them like they were made of paper. Buildings that had taken decades to construct turned into dust in seconds. The spaceport where supply ships landed became a hole of melted metal. Parks where children played became burning craters. The alien weapons did not just destroy, they erased everything they touched. 3 million people live down there, whispered Navigator Kim. She was staring at the screen with tears in her eyes. The bombardment continued for 20 long minutes. The alien ships fired methodically, making sure they hit every city, every town, every settlement. When they finally stopped, New Busan was gone. The planet that had been home to 3 million humans was now just a dead rock. Communications Officer Lee was crying at her station. "I cannot get any signals from the surface. No emergency beacons, no distress calls, nothing." Dobbin stared at the screen where her sister's world used to be. Minna was dead. Her nephew, who collected model spaceships, was dead. Her niece, who wanted to become a doctor, was dead. 3 million innocent people had been murdered while she watched from space, unable to help. The alien ships did not even bother to check if anyone had survived. They simply formed up and jumped back into hyperspace, leaving behind a dead world. "Set course for Earth," Dobbin said quietly. Her voice sounded strange and hollow. "Maximum speed." The journey back to Earth took 3 days. Dobbin spent those days watching the recordings of New Busan's destruction over and over. She wrote detailed reports. She tried to understand why the aliens had done this terrible thing. The Zalari had not demanded surrender. They had not tried to capture the colony. They had just killed everyone. When the Horizon's Edge reached Earth's orbital stations, Admiral Park Hyun-woo was waiting for them. He was a tall man with a serious face who rarely smiled. Today he looked even more serious than usual. "Captain Dobbin, I have read your initial report. The Terran Defense Council wants to hear everything you saw. Come with me." Dobbin followed Admiral Park through parts of the space station she had never seen before. They went down many levels, deeper than she thought the station went. Finally, they entered a room where 12 senior officers sat around a large metal table. Fleet Admiral Kim Tae-ho sat at the head of the table. Dobbin knew his reputation. He had fought in humanity's first battles in space many years ago. He had helped design Earth's defense systems. He was old now, with gray hair and tired eyes, but when he spoke, everyone paid attention. "Captain Dobbin," Admiral Kim said, "tell us exactly what you witnessed." Dobbin told them everything. She showed them the video recordings. She played the audio of her sister's last transmission before the bombardment began. When she finished speaking, the room was completely silent. "They called us an infection," said Admiral Park. "They killed 3 million civilians. without any warning or attempt at negotiation. "The alien empires have always thought we were weak," said another officer. "Our ships are smaller than theirs. Our colonies are peaceful. They see us as no threat to their power." Fleet Admiral Kim stood up slowly. He looked very tired, but there was something dangerous in his old eyes. "Gentlemen, it is time they learned they were wrong." He walked to a wall panel and put his hand on it. Hidden doors opened, showing another room full of holographic displays. Star charts covered every wall, showing ship positions and military bases throughout human space. "For 200 years, we have let the galaxy believe we are primitive," Admiral Kim said. "We have hidden our real military strength. We have pretended to be harmless while we prepared for the day when someone would force us to defend ourselves." The displays changed to show images of massive construction projects near Jupiter and Saturn. Dabin gasped when she saw them. There were huge shipyards building vessels unlike anything she had ever seen. One ship dominated all the displays, a warship 12 kilometers long. "The TDF Retribution," Admiral Kim continued. "Our first Dreadnought-class warship. It uses technology that the galaxy thinks is impossible. The greatest human scientists have worked in secret for 2 centuries to build this vessel." Admiral Park stepped forward. "Captain Dobbin, your report confirms what our intelligence agents have been telling us. The alien empires have decided that humanity needs to be destroyed. They see our expansion into space as a threat." "They made a terrible mistake," said Fleet Admiral Kim. "They showed us what they really think of human life. Now we will show them what we really think of theirs." Dobbin looked at the tactical displays showing alien fleet positions throughout the galaxy. The Zalari Dominion controlled hundreds of star systems. Their military had thousands of warships. But now she was beginning to understand that humanity had been preparing for this day for a very long time. "We could have stayed hidden," Admiral Kim said. "We could have pulled back all our colonies and protected only Earth, but that would just delay the inevitable. Eventually, they would have come here too." "What are your orders, sir?" asked Admiral Park. Fleet Admiral Kim's face was as cold as empty space. "Captain Choi Min-ho will command the Retribution. His mission is simple: teach the galaxy that humanity is not prey." Dobbin left the meeting feeling like her world had changed completely. Everything she thought she knew about human space forces had been wrong. The small patrol ships, the old weapons, the careful diplomatic approach, it had all been an act. Humanity had been secretly preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful. As her shuttle took her back to the horizon's edge, Dobbin looked out at the stars and thought about her sister. Minna had believed in peace between different species. She had thought aliens and humans could work together and understand each other. But the galaxy had shown its true nature. Some species only understood violence and death. Soon they would learn that humans understood those things too. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council had been going on for 6 hours. Representatives from every major empire filled the Great Hall, their voices raised in anger and fear. Holographic displays showed the same terrible footage over and over. 30. Solari warships being destroyed by a single human vessel in just 4 minutes. Admiral Crichton of the Krillian Empire stood at the center of the heated debate. He was a massive creature covered in natural armor that had protected his species through countless wars. His 4 red eyes glowed with fury as he spoke to the council. "This human ship cannot be allowed to continue its attacks," he declared loudly. "It has already destroyed 17 Zalari bases and killed hundreds of thousands of our people. If we let this continue, the humans will think they can challenge the natural order of the galaxy." Ambassador Nexara of the Nexar Federation nodded in agreement. Her species was known for their careful planning and calculating minds. "The humans have clearly been hiding their true military strength from us. This threatens the balance of power that has kept peace between our empires for centuries." High Counselor Zeth of the Zalari Dominion spoke from his throne, his voice filled with grief and rage. 300,000 of my people are dead. Our fleet commanders report that their weapons cannot even scratch this human ship. Its technology seems to break several basic laws of physics. Admiral Crichton activated a large tactical display in the center of the room. "Then we must respond with overwhelming numbers. I propose we form the Trilateral Alliance, a joint military operation between our 3 empires. We will gather every available warship and destroy this human vessel before it can threaten our core systems." The vote was quick and unanimous. Within hours, the largest military fleet in galactic history began gathering at the edge of human space. 847 warships from 3 different empires, each equipped with the most advanced weapons their civilizations could build. Admiral Crichton took command from his flagship, the massive dreadnought Star Crusher. He was confident that no single ship, no matter how advanced, could stand against such overwhelming firepower. The combined fleet was large enough to conquer entire star systems. The alien armada jumped into hyperspace, heading directly for Earth's solar system. Intelligence reports suggested the human ship was returning to its home base for supplies and repairs. They would intercept it there and end this threat to galactic peace. Captain Choi received the warning from Earth's deep space sensors, while the retribution was still 3 light-years from home. 800 alien warships were approaching the Sol system, moving in perfect formation toward what they believed would be an easy victory. "Interesting," said Captain Choi as he studied the tactical reports on his command screen. "They think we are running home to hide behind Earth's defenses." Navigator Park looked up from her station with concern. "Sir, should we request support from our defense fleet? This is a much larger force than we have faced before." "That will not be necessary," replied Captain Choi. "Prepare to drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. We will meet them there and settle this matter." Chief Engineer O monitored the ship's systems as they prepared for the largest battle they had ever fought. "Captain, our AI combat system has finished analyzing data from all our previous fights. It has identified the best tactics for fighting large fleet formations like this. 1. The retribution emerged from hyperspace, exactly where Captain Choi had planned, directly between the approaching alien fleet and Earth. The human dreadnought hung in space like a metal fortress, its weapons powered but not yet firing. Admiral Crichton smiled with satisfaction when he saw the lone human ship waiting for them. Just as our intelligence predicted, they think their homeworld's orbital defenses will help them survive. Signal all ships, spread into attack formation and prepare for concentrated bombardment." The alien fleet moved into position with practiced precision. Zalari cruisers took the left and right flanks while Krillian heavy battleships formed the center. Next, our fast attack vessels spread wide to prevent any escape attempts. It was a perfect example of combined fleet tactics. "All weapons open fire," ordered Admiral Crichton. 847 alien warships unleashed everything they had at once. Energy beams that could melt asteroids, missile salvos that numbered in the thousands, exotic particle weapons designed to crack planetary shields, all focused on one human vessel. The combined barrage was spectacular to watch. Space itself seemed to burn as the firepower of 3 empires struck their target. Surely nothing could survive such overwhelming destruction. When the bright lights faded, the retribution was completely undamaged. "This cannot be possible," whispered Admiral Crichton in shock. "Nothing can withstand that much concentrated firepower." Captain Choi activated the ship's communication system, and his voice reached every alien vessel in the massive fleet. "You came here expecting to find humans cowering in fear behind our planet's defenses. Instead, you found us waiting for you in open space. This is your only warning. Surrender now or discover why that choice was a serious mistake." Admiral Crichton's response was to order a second bombardment, this time using every exotic weapon in the combined fleet's arsenal. Weapons that could destroy moons, disintegration rays, quantum torpedoes, everything the 3 empires had developed over thousands of years of warfare. The result was exactly the same. The human ship's shields absorbed the incoming energy and converted it to power for their own systems. "Sir," reported Weapons Officer Han with obvious satisfaction, "our AI tactical system has finished mapping their entire fleet formation. All 847 enemy vessels are now tracked and targeted." "Begin the demonstration," ordered Captain Choi. The retribution began to move through space in ways that defied everything the alien commanders thought they knew about physics. Despite its massive size, it accelerated and maneuvered like a small fighter craft, using gravity control technology to ignore normal space combat rules. What happened next shocked every alien officer who witnessed it. The human dreadnought created artificial gravity wells around groups of enemy ships, trapping them in place while its weapons systematically destroyed them. Point defense systems intercepted thousands of incoming missiles, while the main guns delivered precise shots that erased entire cruisers from existence. But the most terrifying aspect was how the ship seemed to know what the aliens would do before they did it. When Admiral Crichton ordered a flanking attack, The human ship was already turning to meet it. When the Nexar vessels tried to use their speed advantage, they found their escape routes blocked by perfectly positioned gravity fields. "It is reading our battle plans," realized Admiral Crichton in growing horror. "Somehow it knows what we are going to do before we do it ourselves." Navigator Park coordinated the ship's movements with inhuman precision. "Multiple enemy formations are trying to surround us from 3 directions. Adjusting our position to maximize our firing angles while maintaining defensive coverage." "Confirmed," replied Chief Han. "Our AI systems report optimal targeting solutions have been achieved for all enemy vessels. Beginning coordinated bombardment sequence." The Retribution unleashed its full arsenal for the first time in the battle. Quantum disruptor beams fired in carefully timed sequence, each one targeted at a different capital ship. Exotic matter torpedoes streaked through space, their flight paths calculated to achieve maximum destruction with each hit. The ship's point defense systems created a sphere of annihilation that no enemy weapon could penetrate. Admiral Crichton watched in complete horror as his carefully planned formation fell apart like a house of cards. Ships that tried to retreat found themselves trapped by artificial black holes. Vessels that attempted coordinated attacks discovered their weapons were being intercepted before they could even fire. The human ship moved through his fleet like death itself, untouchable and unstoppable. "All ships, emergency retreat," he finally ordered in desperation. "Break formation, maximum speed, every ship for itself." But Captain Choi had anticipated this reaction as well. The Retribution had been using selective gravity manipulation throughout the entire battle, herding the alien ships into carefully designed kill zones while appearing to fight defensively. Now those same gravity fields prevented escape, trapping the enemy fleet in a cage made of twisted space and time. Engineer O monitored the tactical display with professional satisfaction. "Captain, enemy fleet organization has completely collapsed. They are attempting individual escape maneuvers, but our gravity control systems are holding them in position for systematic elimination. Time to finish this lesson," decided Captain Choi. The final phase of the battle lasted only 12 minutes. The Retribution moved systematically through the trapped alien fleet, destroying ships with surgical precision. Each shot was perfectly aimed, each target chosen for maximum psychological impact on the few survivors. When the battle ended, fewer than 50 ships remained from the original force of 847. Those that escaped did so only because Captain Choi allowed it. He wanted survivors to carry word of humanity's power back to their home empires. Admiral Crichton's flagship, Starcrusher, was among the vessels permitted to flee. The TDF Retribution moved through space like a giant metal mountain. Captain Choi Min-ho stood on the bridge and watched the tactical display. It showed their approach to the Kepler 442 system, where 30 Zalari warships waited in defensive positions around the 4th planet. "We will reach the enemy fleet in 10 minutes. Captain," reported Navigator Park G1. She was young but very skilled with the ship's advanced systems. "The Zalari ships are arranged in their standard defensive pattern." Captain Choi nodded. He was a quiet man who preferred actions over words. His crew had trained for years in the hidden bases around Saturn, running practice battles over and over. But this would be their first real fight against alien ships. "Open a communication channel to the Zalari fleet," he ordered. "Channel is open, sir," replied Communications Officer Han Soo-jin. She had spent weeks learning alien languages and their military procedures. "The Zalari commander is responding to our signal." Fleet Commander Velthara appeared on the main screen. She was tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. Her species had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. She looked at the human ship with obvious disgust. "Human vessel, you are in Zalari space without permission," she said. "Turn around and leave immediately or we will destroy you." Captain Choi stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "Commander Velthara, this is Captain Choi Min-ho of the Terran Defense Force. You murdered 3 million innocent people at New Busan Colony. Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to military law." Velthara laughed and the sound was like breaking glass. "One human ship against 30 Zalari cruisers? Your species is even more stupid than we thought. All ships, open fire on the human vessel. Show these animals what happens when they challenge their superiors." The Zalari fleet moved with practiced skill. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the Retribution, as 30 warships focused all their firepower on the lone human vessel. The attack was impressive. enough weapons to destroy a small moon. The weapons hit the Retribution shields and simply disappeared. "Report on ship status," said Captain Choi calmly. As if the enemy attack was nothing more than a light rain. "All shields at full strength," reported Chief Engineer Oh Yun-soo from her station. "Their weapons are having no effect at all. Our quantum barriers are absorbing their energy and turning it into power for our own systems." Belthara stared at her control displays in confusion. Her most powerful weapons were not even scratching the human ship's defenses. Even worse, her sensors could not understand the readings they were getting from the human vessel. "This is impossible," she whispered. "No ship can have shields that strong." Captain Choi turned to his weapons officer. "Chief Han, target their command ship. Use one shot at minimum power setting." Chief Weapons Officer Han Soo-jin smiled as she activated the Retribution's main weapon system. The quantum disruptor array had been designed by humanity's greatest scientists. It did not just destroy enemy ships, it removed them from existence at the atomic level. A beam of pure energy shot out from the human dreadnought. It struck Velthara's flagship and the massive Zalari cruiser simply stopped existing. There was no explosion, no pieces of wreckage. One moment the ship was there and the next moment there was only empty space. The remaining Zalari ships stopped firing. Their commanders looked at their screens in shock. The human weapon had not just damaged their fleet commander's ship, it had erased it completely from reality. "All ships retreat immediately," ordered one of the surviving captains. "Call for emergency help from the home fleet." "No," said Captain Choi. "You came here to kill humans. Now you will face the consequences." The Retribution began to move. Despite being 12 kilometers long, it moved like a small fighter craft. The ship used gravity control technology to ignore the normal laws of physics. It positioned itself between the Zalari vessels and their escape routes. What happened next was not really a battle. It was a demonstration of superior technology. The Retribution's secondary weapons came online. Exotic matter torpedoes punched through Zalari armor like it was made of thin paper. Point defense systems tracked and destroyed hundreds of incoming missiles at the same time. Tractor beam projectors grabbed enemy ships and held them still, while the main guns aimed perfect. Shots. Navigator Park watched the tactical display and called out enemy positions, while the ship's computer predicted where they would move next. 3 ships are trying to attack us from the left side. 2 more are attempting to get behind that large asteroid. "Understood," replied Chief Han, adjusting our fire pattern to compensate for their movements. The Zalari commanders tried every battle tactic they knew. They spread their ships out to make themselves harder to target. They coordinated their attacks to try to overwhelm the human ship's defenses. Some even attempted ramming attacks when their weapons proved completely useless. Nothing worked. The Retribution moved through space like it could see into the future, always in the perfect position to deliver devastating attacks while avoiding enemy fire. The ship's computer systems learned from each exchange, becoming more efficient with every minute that passed. Engineer O watched her displays with professional interest. "Captain, the ship's learning programs have reached optimal efficiency. We are now predicting enemy movements with 97% accuracy. Time to end this demonstration," Captain Choi decided. The human dreadnought unleashed its full power for the first time. Multiple quantum disruptor beams fired at the same time, each one aimed at a different enemy ship. Exotic matter torpedoes streaked through space, their warheads designed to convert solid matter directly into energy. The Retribution's point defense systems activated in full suppression mode, creating a sphere of destruction around the ship that no enemy weapon could penetrate. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. When it ended, 30 Zalari warships had been reduced to scattered atoms floating in space. The only survivors were the small automated distress beacons that some ships had launched before their destruction. These devices would carry news of the battle across the galaxy, spreading word of humanity's true military power. "Damage report," said Captain Choi. "Zero damage to any primary systems," replied Engineer O. "Shield strength is at 98%. We used less than 2% of our total ammunition supply." Communications Officer Han was monitoring the surviving beacons. "Sir, the Zalari distress signals are being picked up by multiple alien communication networks. Within a few hours, every major empire will know what happened here." Captain Choi nodded. That had been part of the plan from the beginning. Humanity had stayed hidden in their small corner of space long enough. Now it was time for the galaxy to understand that the quiet species from the small yellow star was no longer content to be ignored or threatened. "Set course for our next target," he ordered. "The Zilari have 12 major fleet bases in this sector. We are going to visit each one of them." Navigator Park entered the coordinates into the ship's systems. "Course is ready, Captain. Estimated travel time to the Vega system is 6 hours." As the Retribution entered hyperspace, its crew prepared for the next engagement. They had spent years training for this campaign, studying alien tactics and learning about their weaknesses. Each officer knew their role in humanity's plan to change the balance of power in the galaxy. Behind them, the debris from 30 alien warships slowly spread out into the emptiness of space. The Zilari had learned the first rule about dealing with humans: never threaten their families. Unfortunately for them, this lesson had come too late. Word of the battle spread through the galactic communication networks like wildfire. On hundreds of worlds, alien commanders looked at the tactical recordings and tried to understand how one human ship had destroyed an entire patrol fleet. Without taking any damage, the galaxy was about to discover that humanity had been hiding much more than advanced technology. They had been concealing a fundamental truth about their species. When humans decided to go to war, they did not simply fight back. They completely dominated their enemies.